Hi everyone, thank you so much for being here today. My name is Denise. I'm also known as heywigsister on Instagram and Facebook. Today we are here for episode 6 of my new wig wearer series. In this episode, we are going to talk about how you care for your wigs. We have been through quite a lot in this new wig wearer series. If you are new, welcome, and please know that I am in the middle of a new wig wearer series where I walk you through step by step all of the information that you need to know to be successful on your wig wearing journey. So if you would like to learn how to wash and care for your synthetic fiber wig, then you're in the right place, and stick around for the rest of this video. So we have talked about a lot of things in the first 5 episodes of this series. We've discussed where are trustworthy places you can purchase your wigs. I've shown you how to measure your head and what measurements are important to help you on the wig wearing journey. We've talked about the different types of wigs and the different types of fibers and cap construction. And I've shown you what to do with a wig straight out of the box and some of the challenges you'll face with box hair and just new wig purchases. And I've shown you how to put a wig on your head and what types of things you might choose to wear underneath your wig and use to adhere your wig. Now we've gotten to the point where you've purchased your wig, you tried your wig on, you know that you've decided to keep it, and you've been wearing it for a little while. So how do you care for that wig? And so I'm going to show you some products that I recommend. I'm going to talk about some different strategies for washing and caring for your wigs. And I'm going to show you how to wash your wig. We're going to do a lot, so we better get moving. It's important to note that synthetic hair fibers are not porous like human hair. So anything that you put on your wig is going to coat the fiber. It is not going to be absorbed into the fiber. So contrary to maybe popular belief or what I see a lot out there, putting a lot of conditioning spray on your wig is not, in my opinion, the best approach to caring for your wig. It simply coats the fibers, and at some point you've coated the fibers too much. So and again, I'm going to say this, and I've said this in other episodes and many other videos, what I share in my video is just my personal opinion. It may be an educated opinion. I mean, I do have a fair amount of experience with wigs and products, but it is just one opinion. And I encourage you to do your own research, watch a lot of videos, and ask a lot of questions if you're able to on social media about how others think of this topic. Because I do see in a lot of videos recommendations to spray your wig with conditioning spray after every single wear. And if that works for someone, I am not here to tell you that they're wrong, but my personal experience is that the more you spray your wig, the more dirty your wig acts and the less flowy and normal, I guess, your wig will behave over time. And when I see people complain a lot about their wig not looking as good after 4 or 5 wears as it did the first time, one of the first things I ask or I wonder about is how much product are they putting on their wig? Because it's just adding layers to the wig and coating those fibers. So I strongly, strongly encourage you to use as little product on your wig as possible. That includes conditioning sprays. That said, I do have some conditioning sprays that I like, and there are tons of products out there. So you probably should do some experimenting on your own and figure out what works for you. But I will say that I rarely spray my wigs with any conditioning spray whatsoever. If I spray my wig with any type of conditioning spray, it is because, number one, it is a long wig and it's getting really tangly, and I need to use something to help detangle those fibers. And so conditioning spray or silicone spray can really help with that. My favorite is the Simply Stylin' Light Silicone Spray. This is pure silicone. This one has a scent. I've been told that there's an unscented one as well. I absolutely love the light, fresh scent of the scented one. This is a silicone spray, so it comes out kind of oily feeling, And a little goes a long way. My first bottle of this lasted me well over a year. And so typically the way that I use this spray is either on the nape of a wig that's long enough to rub on my clothing and get tangled. It can be really helpful to spray this on the nape before you wear it and after you wear it, before you comb it out. I will also use this spray on, and I really rarely wear long wigs, but if I were to wear long wigs regularly, I'd probably spray it on sort of the ends that rub on my clothes after every wear. That is an exception where I feel the benefit outweighs the negatives. And so you might find you're having to wash your longer wigs more frequently if you're using product like this on them a lot, but not using product may actually be more detrimental to a long wig. Another type of wig that I'll use this spray on are really curly wigs. If I have a super curly wig like Jamila Plus by Ellen Villa, or Becky by Paula Young, those are two wigs that I own and love, then I find myself using something like this spray quite a lot because those curls will start to get frizzy, and the more you touch them, the more you wear them. So if you can keep your dirty paws off of your wigs, that will help you. But if you find that you touch your wigs a lot and they're curly, you might find you need product to help manage those curls. Other than that, I mean, unless a wig I have is starting to look really old and frizzy and frayed on the ends and those kinds of things, I really don't use this. The wig I have on my head right now is Henry Margaux Peyton. I have had this Peyton for a couple of years. I don't wear Peyton a whole lot. You can see I've got her in a low pony. I will be sharing a styling video with you guys in the next segment of this series. But I don't know that I've ever sprayed Peyton with any conditioning spray, because I just don't think a wig that this one, when she's down, is just a little below chin level. She's wavy but not curly. I just don't think wigs like that really need a whole lot of product on them. So I just don't. Another spray though that I would use if I need it is this Estetica Revitalize and Shine spray. Another one that has a really light, fresh scent. Doesn't come unscented, but the scent is really light, like super light and fresh. But I understand some people are very scent sensitive, so I want to mention it has a scent. This one I would use similarly if a wig is starting to get tangly or long, or if I'm trying to prolong its life a little bit longer between washing. I don't find that this, I mean, it helps a little bit with frizz and with softness, but it helps a little bit with freshness as well. So if I feel like my wig is just starting to smell a little dirty, I might freshen it up with a spray like this. That can be helpful. But I can't stress enough, I know I've spent a lot of time on this, but I cannot stress enough, the more product you put in a wig, the more that wig is going to get dirty and need to be washed. So when do you decide when you're going to wash the wig? Well, let's go on to that section right now. So how do you determine when it's time to wash your wig? Well, personally, I go with the touch, see, and smell test. I like to judge my wig by how it's acting, what it looks like, and how it smells, and that's really going to give me the clue when it's time to wash. I think a good guideline is 7 to 12 wears. You should be looking to wash your wig anywhere from 7 to 12 4+ hour wears. And so I like to say the hour portion of it, because if you wear your wig for an hour or two at a time, you may be able to go more than 12 wears before you wash it, depending on how you're storing it and how you're caring for it and what products you're using on it. But I think the touch, see, and smell test is a little bit of a better test because it does allow for individual circumstances. There are things that are going to impact your wig this time around that's only going to let you get to 5 wears, whereas the next time you find yourself wearing it for 12 or 13 times and you still think you can get some more wear out of it. What are those things? I would say number one is, what conditions are you wearing your wig in? If it's a really dusty conditions, if you are spending a lot of time outside and it's, you know, you're by bonfires, or you're living in an area where there's been a lot of wildfires, so the air kind of has a little bit of smoke in it. If you wear it in a warehouse situation where there might be a lot of dust or a manufacturing where there might be some product in the air. All of that is going to impact it. If you are wearing it in an office, very climate controlled, you don't touch your wig a lot and you don't put your hands in your wig a lot, then you'll find you can go a lot more wear before you have to wash. Another thing to consider is how much are you sweating in your wig. If you are like me and you get hot and sweaty a lot, or you're having hot flashes, you might find that you want to wash your wig a little more often because the cap is starting to get a little smelly from being sweaty and then not sweaty and all of that. So I just kind of look at my wig, I smell my wig. How does it smell? It shouldn't have any smell really. How does it look? Does it flow? Does it look natural? Do I feel like it's super clumpy and hard to work with? And then how does it look? Sometimes it can not feel very good, but it can look fabulous. So as long as it still looks good, then you can continue to wear it until you can't stand it anymore, and then you can wash it. So I just think you need to judge individually, and if it helps you to keep track of how often you're wearing your wig, then I would just keep a little notebook or a little note app in your phone and just jot down what wig you wear every day so that you can determine when it's time to wash your wig. I know for a long time I kept a spreadsheet. I tracked every wig I wore, when I wore it, and I also put a note down when I washed it. Part of the reason why I did that was because I wear different wigs all the time. And so I needed to have some way to know when was the last time I washed this wig. And that was before I got as much experience as I have now. Now I don't do that anymore because I am much more comfortable judging when a wig needs to be washed by how it looks, smells, and acts. And if I end up washing a wig more often than the 7 to 12 wears, then I guess maybe it needed it. But for the most part, the way I wear my wigs, I can go that long. So what products do I use to wash my wigs? I am going to show you how to wash your wig here in a second. But let me just give you a couple of examples of products. I have to say this though, if you ask 10 women what products they use to wash their wigs, you are going to get 10 answers or more, because some of us like multiple products. So I encourage you, again, do your research, do some experimenting. I'm gonna show you the products that I use, but I know there are a lot of other great products out there that I just haven't had any experience with. Let's start with a non-wig specific product. I know a lot of women out there who swear by Woolite and fabric softener. So I have, and I did buy some early on just to try. I have Woolite and I have fabric softener. If you are going to use this type of product on your wigs, I strongly encourage you to get unscented. I am dead serious. I don't care how much you like smelly things. Scented fabric softener is going to be too much for you on your wig. I know this because I love smelly things. I could spray body spray on me all day. I love going into Bath and Body Works and Yankee Candle and any place that has lots of smelly stuff. I am not smell sensitive unless it's a yucky smell, and I love it. But scented fabric softener makes your wig smell so strong that even I can't take it. So I caution you strongly to use an unscented fabric softener if you go that route. Now, I tried Woolite very early on in my wig wearing journey, and so I cannot speak to how well this works. I think I might maybe used it once, and then I got into just the wig shampoos and I never went back to it. So I know a lot of wig sisters swear by Woolite. Intellectually, it makes a little bit of sense because, you know, this is used on clothing, your delicates like bras and things like that. And wigs are made out of fiber, like clothing. So I think it probably is fine. I just can't personally speak to it. The other thing I will say is I have tried fabric softener a few times, and it's not my preference. Now, I know some women who will put fabric softener and water into a spray bottle and use that as a refreshing spray. That I can see being useful, sort of like Febreze. If your wig starts to take on some smells that you don't love, but you really want to extend out how much you can wear it, that's a tip that I think is worth trying, is fabric softener in a spray bottle. What shampoo and conditioner do I like? Well, I have two and I interchange them and I love them both. So I'm going to show you both of them. So the first one I'm going to show you is the Estetica Wet Line. Estetica has a cleanse and clarify shampoo and a nourish and renew conditioner. I believe their bottles look different now. I've had these for quite some time. I really don't wash wigs very often because I just wear them so many different kinds. I may not even wash a wig once every 3-4 months because I don't wear them enough. So these have lasted me a long time. Use about a tablespoon of each, and that's what you do. And I love these. They're very light, fresh scent, not heavy or overpowering, and I think they work great. I do not rinse out the conditioner from my wigs when I use it. I just take the wig out of the water and dry it. This does say to rinse it. I don't. They also, like I showed you, make this conditioning wig spray. I personally think actually conditioning your wig in a sink full of water works better for me than washing and spraying. That's just my personal preference, but I know some people don't purchase a separate conditioner. They just spray it with a conditioning spray. My second, and by no means least favorite, is Belle Madame products. So Belle Madame shampoo and Belle Madame balsam or balm. This to me truly is like the holy grail. I love this stuff so much, thus the giant industrial size bottle. It is my absolute favorite. I do love the Estetica and it's fine. I mean, if anything is my favorite, this would be my #1 favorite. And again, a light, fresh scent. The instructions say do not wash out, and so that's actually why I started not washing out the Estetica, to see how that goes. I just like the way, I think it coats the fibers just enough to keep them maybe from getting a little tangly. It might be like a detangler on your fibers. These aren't as easy to come by as the Estetica. I order mine from Continental Wigs in the UK, and when I place an order, I place a large order so that I get some in stock up on it. I have a code, it's WIGSIS, WIGSIS, all caps. You can get free shipping, and their shipping to the US is actually quite fast. So I wait until I have enough of an order to place, and then I can take advantage of the free shipping. I want to say it's like $75 US dollars is the minimum in order to get the free shipping. I'm not 100% positive on that though. But anyway, those are the products. So when I wash my wigs, I use one of those two products. And again, there's so many other products out there, many I've never tried. And so one other caution I will give you, and I think this is important. If you use a product and you think your wig is worse than before you use it, I would try a different product. I do think there are some products out there that don't work very well, and I personally have some that I don't use because I don't like the way they make my wigs feel. And initially they were products I tried in the beginning and I thought I was doing something wrong, or I just thought wigs were terrible. Once you washed them, they were terrible after that, and I didn't associate it with the product. So I just want to caution you, if you try something and you don't like the way your wig is after, I would try something else before you just assume that it's the wig's problem, because some products just aren't that good. So now we're going to go and I'm going to show you how to wash your wig. So come over to the sink with me. All right, so you're at your sink or your bucket or pail or whatever you're using, and you have filled it with cold water enough to cover the wig when it's submerged. The next step is to add your shampoo to the water. So I've got my shampoo here, and I'm just going to add about a tablespoon or so to the water. That was actually a little less than a tablespoon, so let me do a little bit more. So about a tablespoon. And I like to use a whisk, and I just like to whisk it around. That way I make sure I get all of it dissolved. All right, so now I've got the shampoo in the water. You're always adding it to the water, not to the hair fibers. And I have my prepared wig here, so I have already taken a moment to comb out all of the tangles. If this were a curly wig, I would not be combing it. I would just be finger combing to make sure that there are no significant knots in it, and I would also make sure the nape is tangle free. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to submerge it in the water, making sure that it is fully covered. I personally like to dunk my wig up and down a few times, just kind of grabbing it by the top and going up and down, up and down. It acts as sort of a gentle agitation to the wig. Depending on the length of your wig, the amount of curl, whether or not the fibers are hand tied, a lot of that depends, will impact how you choose to wash your wig. This I do with virtually all of my wigs, up and down, making sure to go with the way that the hair lays, not against the grain. All right, now I'm going to let this wig soak in this water for about 5 minutes, and then I will come back and we'll go on to the next step. Okay, so my wig has been soaking for about 5 minutes. So now I'm ready to clean the cap. So what I'm going to do is I am going to gently turn my wig inside out, and I'm just going to gently rub the cap so that I can get any oils, you know, dead skin, whatever, you know, will accumulate on that cap off the cap. Being very, very careful not to be rough with the lace front or with the monofilament. If your wig does not have a lace front or a mono top or a monofilament, then you do not have to worry about being extra gentle. But on these pieces, I'm just going to rub very, very gently. Kind of just, I'm taking my thumb and I'm just sort of rubbing one direction. I'm not scrubbing. The majority of the cleaning happens with the soaking. Now, if you have a very long wig, this is going to be a little trickier. I do not recommend turning the cap inside out. I would just sort of flip it over and put my hand in there. This is a bit of a shorter wig. Now, I'm just sort of stroking the hair down the direction that it lays just a little bit. Again, just to make sure that I'm cleaning. You'll want to be very, very gentle. As you get better at this, you will learn, sorry about the hand there, more about what works for you. Now, if you're going to dunk your wig upside down, up and down like I showed, you're going to be very careful not to lift it up by any monofilament or cap features, which is why in the first part I showed hanging on to the top of the wig and dunking up and down. That way I can get a grip on the wig and not hurt the cap features. If this were a basic cap, you could hold on to the front of the wig right here and dunk up and down that way. I won't do that because this is has those delicate features. Now, I am ready to rinse this wig. So I am going to drain the water, and then I will take my little sprayer here. Again, using cold water, I am just going to spray my wig and clean it. If you are doing this in a place where you don't have a sprayer, you can just use the nozzle of your sink to do the rinsing, or you could fill your bucket with fresh water and do the dunking method to rinse off your wig. I'm just working to get all that shampoo off, and it doesn't take a lot to get the shampoo out because I washed it in water that had the shampoo dissolved already. I didn't put the shampoo directly on the fibers. So this rinsing process shouldn't take long. Making sure to rinse out the cap so we don't have any residue. All right, so then the wig is rinsed, and I am just going to squeeze I'm not pulling, I'm not twisting, I'm just squeezing the excess water. Now I'm going to fill my sink again, and I'm going to put in the conditioner. So I'm going to pause so I can get my sink filled. Okay, once again, I followed the exact same method. I filled the sink with cold water. I put in about a tablespoon of conditioner, and I whisked it around so that it would be dissolved. So now I'm just going to submerge my wig once again. And this is almost exactly the same in the beginning. I just sort of dunk the wig up and down, back and forth, gently, to make sure that the conditioning water is being run all through the fibers. And now I'm just going to let this soak for about 5 to 15 minutes. I will tell you that I have forgotten my wigs in this water for a couple of hours before, to no detrimental effect. I will talk with you at the end of this video about some cautions though, but let me let this soak. Okay, so the wig has been soaking and it is ready to be taken out of the water. Now, in this case, I am using Belle Madame conditioner, and on the bottle, the instructions are not to rinse this conditioner out. You leave it in. So that is what I'm going to do. If you are using a conditioner where it is recommended that you rinse the wig, then at this point you'll rinse it just like I showed you before. But because this is not a conditioner that gets rinsed out, I am just going to take the wig out of the water, and I am just going to squeeze the excess water out of it. And I'll do this a few times just to make sure that I don't have a significant amount of water left. And now I'm going to lay it on a towel and rearrange my camera for you. Okay, so now I have the wig on a towel. So next step is I'm going to just take and roll the wig in the towel very gently, and I'm going to squeeze out any excess water. I'm not twisting, I'm just rolling it, and then I'm pressing gently to make sure that any excess water is absorbed by the towel. Depending on how thick your wig is and how long your wig is, this might, you might do this longer, but for this wig that I'm using, it's a low density, shorter wig, and so it doesn't take a whole lot to get that all squeezed out. Now, my preference for a short wig like this that has some waves, which you can't see right now, would be to take and shake this wig upside down and get some more of that moisture out and start to separate these fibers. When synthetic wig fibers are wet, they get they get clumpy, they don't feel good. You are going to worry that you've ruined your wig when you first wash your wig, because the fibers do not feel the greatest. This is going to dry just fine, nice and soft like it was before. So I do like to shake this out. I typically do that in my shower, and I give it some vigorous shakes, and that helps these fibers. As you can see, they're already separating out. If it were a long wig, I would probably not flip it upside down or shake it as vigorously, but I would definitely do something like this to separate these fibers out. So now we have a couple of options when it comes to drying this wig. So one of the options would be to leave it on the towel, maybe find a dry part of the towel, this part's quite wet, and just sort of let it lay on the towel and dry, and you might come along in a little bit and flip it over so it's not laying on the same part of the wig. That is an option. Let me move this out of the way and I will show you a couple of different options. Okay, so another option is to take the wig, I'm trying to find the front of the wig here, and now I'm going to just gently lay it over this wig stand. You may have some styrofoam head wig stands or some other closed type of wig stands at your house. I do not recommend those. I recommend just one of these plastic wig stands. They're collapsible, they don't take up barely any space, and they can be really useful for hanging a wig. So I would just lay it on the wig stand, being careful how, if it has a lace front or any monofilament, that you're not creasing this on any of these. I'm very careful how I lay so that everything lays perfectly. Please do not comb out your synthetic wig fibers when they are still wet. It will stretch the fibers, or it can stretch the fibers, and is not recommended. Again, I am a fan of just taking your fingers and fluffing through the fibers just to separate them when they're wet. That can be really helpful. For curly wigs, I like to scrunch up the curls while they're still wet as well, just to make sure you're helping to form those curls. If the fibers are still dripping, I recommend either taking the towel that you used before, or a dry washcloth works great for this, and squeezing out any of the excess water that is dripping, if that is the case for your wig, because the weight of the water will weigh the hair down a little bit, and if it's curly or wavy, it may relax that curl or wave just a little bit more than you would like. So that is a tip for you. This will work for any wig, long hair, short hair, whatever you prefer. This is a great option. My preferred option is using a laundry hook. If I had a really long wig, which I don't wear much of, but if I were to, I'd probably use this. But for shorter wigs, for curly wigs, this even works for long wigs, I prefer to hang it upside down. Now, I have cut the tag out of this wig because it is shorter and I don't want it to accidentally show in the back. If I still had the tag, I would hang it by the tag. But I just purchased these laundry hooks. I get them on Amazon. You can get them virtually at any store, Walmart, Target, drugstores. And I just hook the wig onto this, and then I hang this on a towel rack, maybe over my shower curtain, whatever, any place that you can hang it where it hangs off of something. This is my preferred way to dry a wig. I believe this works the best for curly or wavy wigs because then I can really scrunch them. I think having gravity hit the wig a little bit differently than it typically does on your head is helpful to the fibers keeping their volume. I also think that the air can circulate around this much better when it's just hanging in the air. So this is my preferred way to do it, but I have shown you 3 different options, and I encourage you to find the one that works best for you. All right, I hope that helped you. I hope that just being able to visualize me washing my wig was useful and gave you an idea of what you should do. Once again, everybody does this a little bit differently, and there may be some people out there watching this video not liking my technique. So if you have feedback for your sisters, please leave them in the comments, and know that there may be some wrong ways to do it, but there are also a lot of right ways to do it, and it's whatever you're most comfortable with. I always want to stress that in the beginning, it's probably better to be more conservative with whatever you're doing until you've learned. I personally have developed some pretty bad habits with washing my wigs because, as you get more confident with things, you may not be as careful. I'm not always as careful with my lace fronts when I'm washing wigs as I should be. So I just want to caution you that there are some features on wigs that are more delicate and fragile, and to be careful with them. I will just add something I didn't talk about in the washing video. Our hand-tied wigs may require some special washing and care than others. I have read in many Facebook groups and forums that you don't ever want to fully submerge a hand-tied wig in conditioning water because it can loosen those knots, because those knots were hand-tied on versus machine sewn on. I don't own a ton of hand-tied wigs. I have a few that I have washed, and I have treated them the same way that I treat all my other wigs. I soak them fully in the conditioning water. So far, I've had no issues with them, but it is possible that over time, those knots are starting to loosen. It's possible that every time I soak it in conditioning water, I'm making them more slippery, and then eventually they'll start to come out and I'll start to shed more hair. So I want to acknowledge that there may be certain situations that I'm not covering fully in this video. That is one. So if you wear a lot of hand-tied wigs and you want to be fully hand-tied and you want to be extra cautious, then my tip is don't submerge those wigs fully in the conditioning water. Keep the cap out of it so that you're not loosening those knots. And that is not based on personal experience, just what I've read. I will probably continue to wash them the same exact way I wash all my wigs until I have a bad experience. That's just me. That's just how I roll. So anyway, I had to say that though. I want you to always be careful, and I don't want you to ever do something that I tell you to do and then have a bad experience. So, I think you're always safe using a major name brand product because they have some skin in the game that their products are decent. But that said, I've also read that some people wonder if maybe these type of products aren't as good because they may cause you to buy wigs more often. And maybe you want to try the Woolite and the Downy or something like that, just to make sure that you're covering all your bases. But there's so much to know and so much to do. I really think that the best advice I can give you as a new wig wearer is just dive in. You can be careful, you can be cautious, you can watch videos, but eventually you're just gonna have to take the leap and you're just gonna have to try. And start with, maybe not as expensive of wigs until you get more comfortable. There's lots of ways to do this, but in the end, you're not alone. We've all struggled with this. This was challenging for all of us. I've shared in my other videos how I cried the first time I saw someone put a wig on video because I didn't even know how to put a wig on my head. I mean, we've all been there. And I hope that these new Wig Wearer series videos are giving you some information that you need, but also giving you some confidence that you can do this, and eventually you're gonna be at a place where it's not as frustrating anymore and it's actually fun, because it can be really, really fun. So thank you for being here today and watching. In a future video, I may cover a lot more products and maybe talk a lot more about products, but in this one, I just really wanted to talk about the caring part of your wigs and mention just a couple of products, but there are a ton out there. And so have fun experimenting, and I'm sure you'll get what you like, and then that'll be your holy grail. All right, guys, I'll talk to you soon. Please watch my next video when it comes out.